Okay. There. Maybe just wait for a minute or two till a couple of people pile in. All right. Here we go. How's everybody today? Just going to grab a quick coffee. Linda. Glenn B. Josie. Okay, Sarah G. How's everybody today? Okay, so I'm going to try and there's a timeline to this Sitrep report, the July 10th, 2020 Sitrep report, which I guess we've been going through since the 23rd, right, of September. Kim, oh dear, hello. NS44, Paul, brother Paul, how you doing? Okay, so I'm going to try and show that there was Chris Leather has left a large paper trail on this one. He's very good about doing that, and I think he's holding many cards. Now, helps if I've got the screen here. Okay, I'm going to do this video, and then I'm going to read an excerpt from an interview. Is the plan. We'll see. All right, so what are we talking about? We're talking about the Sitrep of July 10th. And again, just to recap for those of you who may not be aware, this was sent to the commissioner outright. That information has been received by the RCMP about several members of blank. Okay, several members. Turn this thing on. There we go. The Referral Serious Incidents Response Team, CERT, Felix, formerly, right? Some of the information received is in relation to the Police Act violations, but some is of a serious criminal nature and involves alleged wrongdoing by senior officers. Criminal Operations Officer H Division initiated 2 detachment meetings post-shooting incident involving Gabriel Wortman. These meetings were held in response to requests for answers relating to shooting from frontline members. The Crops Officer and members of his senior team attended blank. Pretty sure this is Bible Hill. Members were provided opportunity to ask questions. Doing so, their concerns were addressed. Neutral process was set up along with framework of issues to be brought forward. Several employees brought issues forward in writing to be addressed administratively. During the review process, 2 persons came forward, provided information alleging serious criminal behavior committed by blank. Supposedly Truro police. The information relates to blank having a sexual relationship with blank, as well as the diversion of source money payments. On many copies of this is COM 0065138. There's all kinds of different copies. These things are hard to put together because they file them in all kinds of different places. This particular copy does have the source payment monies unredacted. Information was received from a witness which detailed a pattern of behavior by blank, along with significant detail, which blank described as predatory in nature. Details provided by the blank witness, it's obviously not a name, included the name of blank and significant details of civilian witnesses who had observed suspicious actions of blank in relation to his interaction with blank. Blank has no connection to the RCMP as a source. Both witnesses provided details about serving police officers, plural, at blank, including blank as being complicit in taking overt action to cover up criminal activity. Now we're covering it up. This is significant detail provided by both witnesses of non-criminal behavior in relation to the Police Act violations by several members of blank, along with a cover-up of those actions by several members of the senior command. This is really serious stuff. Information provided to the RCMP was on record, and in the case of blank, audio was recorded. The names of dozens, not one or two, not three or four, dozens of witnesses have been provided to the RCMP. Some are civilian witnesses, and some are police witnesses, and some are RCMP employees. A lot of people. The individuals came forward, did so on their own, and are willing to be interviewed. One witness claims to have text messages, evidence, as well as other notes in blank, I believe it's probably going to be her, possession to corroborate some of what blank is claiming. So it's somebody else who has stuff, right, on to support somebody else's claim. Information received by the RCMP from witnesses reveal that several members of blank were aware of blank's actions and covered it up. Great scan here. Details were provided relating a concerted effort to cover these allegations up. Almost sounds like collusion. By blank, which clearly is a police force or detachment or something, and the suppression of evidence by not referring the matter to cert when several witnesses came forward. Both witnesses provided extensive detail about who was aware of this information. This is interesting, including several members of blank. Important to note who was that people were aware. One RCMP prose file was provided, which has confirmed some of the names provided by the witnesses do in fact exist. There are several prose files at blank that were discussed but not provided by the witness. is by the witness. Detailed information also was provided by both witnesses about blank, 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 and blank. That looks to be 4 names. Some of the information relating covering up of sexual indiscretions, the arrest of somebody, as well as overt behavior by several senior employees, do not support and withhold information or not call the RCMP to assist on major investigations as mandated by the province. One witness provided several examples of both routine and high-risk calls where the safety of RCMP officers could be compromised and civilians could be placed at risk. This is why obviously all of it is highly concerning. But the fact that you're talking about civilians and officers being placed at risk post Portapique about an incident that took place before, are we talking about officer safety and or civilians on 18 and 19 that safety that could have been compromised as a result of this? This is why I think it's extraordinarily serious and plays a relevant role and needs to be thoroughly investigated by the Mass Casualty Commission and other organizations. Because if it does, in fact, involve Truro, and the RCMP felt that they could not call upon Truro, how much of 18 and 19 could have been shut down if this is in fact true? How much could have been prevented? But wasn't, because the RCMP couldn't call upon them. The information provided by to the RCMP has been compiled in a report along with the audio recording and transcript of the recording. There are several criminal areas that need to be further investigated along with numerous Police Act violations. None of the information received by the RCMP has been corroborated. A cert referral is being made with the information. There will be a requirement to interview RCMP officers who have been identified as having knowledge of some of the information that has been collected once a process is underway and has been initiated by CERT. Well, so if they had knowledge of it prior to all this happening, then we're talking about RCMP officers and we're talking about Truro, right? And possibly more. There will be significant media attention should this investigation be initiated. Strategic comms. Strategic communications will have awareness. However, all media will be referred to CERT. Recommendations, advice, solicitor-client privilege. Submitted by Superintendent Costa Diamopoulos, who is was at that point in time in charge of IMT, Issues Management Team, H Strong 2. And it's approved by Chris Leather, July 10th. So let's back up a little bit in time. Let's go to July 7th. I'm just recapping and trying to do it more succinctly. July 7th. This is from Chris Leather's older notes, because the newer notes that are issued on July 7th are redacted. Why they don't want to tell you stuff now? Maybe that we can get into that. I don't know. I think that comes out in the interview, so that I'm going to go through. But here we can learn that Chris met with Costa Diamopoulos and Janice Gray re-Pictou statement. Now, great catch. Didn't put 2 and 2 together. Pictou. More than likely, we're talking about Shari Pictou. okay, who is a officer who was formally seconded from Truro Police Services to the Bible Hill RCMP Major Crimes Unit, and now looks to be a serving member of the RCMP, though I can't find a Graves entry for them. But 2-hour recorded statement. At Crops pre-meeting with commanding officer Bergerman, Truro Police Services. 2-hour recorded statement left December 2019. So did they have prior knowledge of it? As in, did this incident take place before April 18 and 19, 2020? Certainly seems like it. Future of JFO, which I believe is Joint Forces Operations. Not sure of a Joint Forces operation that operates within Nova Scotia, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. Major Crimes Unit, Detective Constable Lake. Now, who is Detective Constable Lake? Detective Constable Lake, I misidentified. Thank you again for the correction. Because I just saw Detective Constable, and I assumed, well, no, not RCMP. Well, that's not in fact true. I assumed that it was Jennifer Lake. No, perhaps we're talking about Bruce Lake, Detective Constable, Truro Police Services. Perhaps, I don't want to make accusations incorrectly, but perhaps Bruce Lake was equally seconded to the Major Crimes Unit, Bible Hill. And had relevance in investigations such as the CINS Bulletin 2010 of threats against police officers. I came across an interesting statement in Leather's notes. Let's see if I can find it here. Relationship with Nova Scotia chiefs, sabotage, officer safety bulletin, retention purge, bulletin, Wortman, background. Okay. Now, if we read further ahead, how came to light through Sergeant Bernard, Darren Bernard, town hall meeting, most likely the Bible Hill meeting, operational input post Portapic, sex blank issues, privileged information, not irrelevant, privileged, predatory allegations, blank, focus of much of the information of impropriety. Chief Cicchetto, Julia Cicchetto, former chief of the Kentville Police in Nova Scotia, who is also the current serving president of the Nova Scotia Chiefs of Police. Does this have any relevance to this? Remember, RCMP getting kicked out. Don't know. I don't know which way, this has put a lot of things into question now. But always must look at the evidence and evaluate it. Sure, the RCMP I'm not a big fan of, but that doesn't mean that things, knives weren't out. Focus of much of the information of Chief Cicchetto has knowledge of some of the information. Remember back here in the CERT referral, it said both witnesses provided extensive detail about who is aware of this information, including several members of blank. Could this be the Nova Scotia Chiefs of Police Association? Could it be Julia Cicchetto? Don't know. Just putting that out there. Pictou confided. Shari Pictou confided in Julia Cicchetto. couple of days to go in the preliminary report. Members of Truro will not back up our members on calls. So again, I would say, does that have to do with this? The safety of RCMP officers could be compromised and civilians could have been placed at risk, could have been in the past, if this we're talking about December 2019 or earlier. Does that play a direct bearing on 20 years policing? Yes, I think that was that Facebook post. I don't know if I still have that open. Thank you. Major Crimes Unit, Jerry Rose. I believe at the time of 1819, it was headed by Paul Vickers, Sergeant Paul Vickers, who has rough notes of some interesting things. Angela McKay, the Command Triangle, right? Everything that runs everything. Jerry Rose, the one who does the reenactment with Lisa. Very key member. Major Crimes, right? Major Crimes, who was out early to deal with, and we had long ago Jarrett McDonald's interview, where he was instructed by Dustine Roddy on the radio, which doesn't appear in the logs, not to check homes on Cobequid or other homes once he discovered bodies. Why not? Until who arrived? Oh, Major Crimes. Even though Major Crimes deals with bodies. Okay. And he seemed to say it took potentially maybe up to an hour and a half. He didn't know until Wayne Skipper Bent of Major Crimes arrived. Wayne Skipper Bent, of course, was the family liaison, who I would say was also equally investigating at the same time. Now, a Truro police officer in this set of notes is referred to as that. The new set of notes, it's just black, irrelevant, or some balls, C1 privilege, but here we actually have the mention of Truro police officer. Big RCMP hater. His letters seem to be slightly more poignant, I would say. Meet brief Truro matter Gray Diamopoulos and the commanding officer's boardroom with commanding officer to provide update, starting with Bible Hall town meeting. And then the next portion is blacked out. Now, I think this may actually have some stuff in the other set of notes. Now, so that's July 7th. Then we move forward. Okay, so then we have the July 10th Sitrep going to the commissioner down in Ottawa, Lucky, sent off by Leather. Okay. Then we go to Dennis Daly's notes. Assistant Commissioner Dennis Daly, who is now the commanding officer of Nova Scotia, right? This is his notes for, scroll up here, July 17th, column number 64626, page 5, B, cert referral re blank, allegation. Not in Director Cacchione's, I'll clarify this, his reading is not the easiest to read. Funnily enough, now that I've read his writing, I went back and was reading some stuff from Campbell. Campbell seems to have much better writing. So I could decipher that much easier. So this is good. I think it says met with Director Cacchione today. He will invoke his mandate. Will invoke the non-disclosure piece something, the act that something. Now I can pull that up what the reference, but that will come in the next interview that I'm going to read. Concerned with costs. Concerned with the cost and large-scale investigation. He may seek assistance from IIO or ACERT. IIO is the oversight body for investigating matters like CERT, police matters involving civilians or other police officers in Ontario. Yes, I believe IIO is Ontario. Just don't want to be wrong. Or is it BC? Independent Investigations Office is BC. My apologies. BC. Oh, God. Now we're okay. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch that one. Ronnie. Okay. Or ACERT. ACERT is Alberta. Same thing. Okay. Crops to inform us to inform something us on the way. I believe it is forward. I think this is supposed to be forward. Once they firm up plans, I believe that reads. Okay. So this is now we're into the same day, right? Or a week later, July 17th. Fast forward now to August 5th. So CERT has the referral in their hands. Call with CERT Director Cacchione. August 5th, 2020, the COM number on this, 65181. Call with CERT Director Cacchione in regards to blank matter and blank matter. Update Campbell and Markachew. Markachew, who noticeably has his notes and things not around. Okay. And this entry later in the day, met with Superintendent Campbell and Inspector Markachew, ongoing corruption matter. Okay, so we're getting some kind of heavy language here. Corruption, source monies, diversion of source monies, is it? Or is that the way that one's worded? Cover up, multiple police departments, dozens of witnesses. This is all looking really, really serious. Okay, fast forward, September 21st. This is COM number 65183. September 21st, Leather's notes. 11 o'clock. Met with Felix Cacchione, director, discussed blank, the blank referral. Blank. Now we're down into some subsections here. CERT referral. CERT is not going to take this, as it appears to be an ongoing dispute between RCMP and Truro, or whomever. I believe Truro, right? That a substantive offense is not clear. Okay, not clear. Even though you seem to have dozens of witnesses, you have statements from police officers on record. 20 years experience, if that's Shari Picto's statement. 20 years, 2 hours worth. Darren Bernard, Sergeant, former head of the Millbrook Detachment, bringing this forward. We're not talking about small potatoes. And that blank statement was not very accurate. Although blank was better. We'll follow up with request for letter stating decision. Okay, so Leather's putting it out there. He's leaving his paper trail. This guy, I'm liking this guy more and more as time passes. Okay, September 21st. I really owe him an apology. So now, if you look at this, this is what they've issued from. This is an excerpt from his notebook, recent. If we go back to his notes, right? Is any of these marked? No, it's all marked irrelevant here. Okay, so now if we go back to his actual notebook for September 21st, page 50 of COM 0053321, I believe. The September 21st meeting, or the September 21st entries, I believe this is the same day. I'm looking at the pages. There seems to be a few entries on September 21st. But I believe this is the same one. So it's page 50. This was what was originally issued. You notice something there? It's all irrelevant. Oh, but here it's not. Lots of it is, but for some reason they think the cert referral is irrelevant. Do you think it's irrelevant? All right, fast forward. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is, yes, October 26th. All right, so Chris sends an email because he's like, what's going on there with the cert referral? I can confirm you notified me some weeks ago that the cert referral would not be investigated as aforementioned referral completed by H Division to your office once related to alleged criminal misconduct on the part of blank. Obviously, we're talking about probably police officers here, right? I am respectfully requesting written confirmation of the same from your office, Chris Leather. Response comes back, and he CCs Dwayne Cooper, who was, I believe, down in Halifax, former DPO, I think, of Colchester, following up. 6 minutes later, not in an official letterhead, Felix writes back, my apologies for not confirming in writing that CERT would not be investigating the above caption matter. Felix, regards Felix. Okay, so when we read through, Chris was very uncomfortable. He felt that was not normal to just have this, and it was just sitting out in the ether forever. Nobody seemed to touch it. All right, let's fast forward. October 26th. This is October 30th. October 29, there's also an October 29 one that was prepared. There's more that's going to be going into this, but I'm just giving you a rough timeline right now. This is COM 0065200. These are documents that have been released subsequent to the ending of the mass casualty, because, you know, they're just writing the final report. Okay. So is it dead in the water for Chris Leather? This looks like it may involve RCMP. I believe, at least to some capacity, that's possible. And so he knows that that's inappropriate for him to have anything to do with it. right? So that's why he's sending it off to CERT. CERT's mandate is to look at this stuff. And in some of the earlier videos that I've read through, some of the interviews and things like that, there are a couple more that I want to read through. Felix just decided that no, that's really not that important. Let's see here. One moment. We'll just touch on these briefly again. Mark Underhill, this is COM 64899. This interview was conducted. There is a clear pattern to who's being questioned when. If we go, this is the beginning part of September, right? Chris won't be interviewed. Beginning part of September, I think September 9th. Yep, September 9th. Okay, so the Mass Casualty Commission feels that they're going to wrap it up there in 2 weeks. Is that correct? 2 weeks? Now I'd like to move forward to the CERT referral that you came to H Division July 2020. And you got it from Diamopoulos, exactly, and to Chris Leather, yes. And again, I'm not going to get into the details. Mark Underhill doesn't apparently want any of this on the record or something. I don't understand why you wouldn't get into the details. It seems rather pertinent. Obviously, you're investigating it. That the referral involved a number of serious allegations, including potentially criminal conduct. Correct? Yes. Against someone who was not an RCMP officer. Correct. What I want to explore is the decision that CERT made would not conduct its investigation. And again, without getting into the specifics of the allegation in the referral, and as I understand it, you did have a meeting with Chief Superintendent Leather and Superintendent Diamopoulos, IMT, who Bernard disclosed this to originally, to discuss the referral. Is that right? I believe the meeting was to discuss the fact that I would look at what they had, and I'm not sure. I would look at the information that they had. I think it was a telephone conversation with Chief Superintendent Leather where I indicated that we would not be investigating. And he reviewed the statement of the alleged officer that they had heard. He didn't believe that it was firsthand knowledge. But that seems to differ from Daly's notes. Assistant Commissioner Daly, who may or may not have spoken to Director Cashio. He doesn't know for sure. He believes that he's never spoken to him. He believes that the phone call, the one that notes Leather where the refusal is, I think, is that Rupa and Costa and Leather and Daly, I believe, is also in on the call. But again, this is a lot of things to keep balanced here. But so please grant me some leeway if I get something not quite right. Fluid, as they say. Blank. There's no love lost between the RCMP and Blank, and I wasn't going to get in the middle of that, but in any way affect the independence of our organization. And as I said before, reviewing what the Blank officer had said, there was no basis to begin an investigation. It's not one officer, dozens of witnesses, text messages, 2-hour interviews, and very serious criminal matters. Well, I'm not going to get in the middle of it. I'm just going to drag my heels around. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to do anything. Oh, yeah, sorry. Just forgot to tell you that months later. We're not going to do anything. Huh? And I want to follow up with the last comment, but just a stage, just so I understand. Am I correct that you received a report from Chief Superintendent Leather and Superintendent Diamopoulos? Is that correct? I can't remember if the report was or it was a statement. I think it was a report. And so there are a couple of things that you said on follow-up. First of all, you said there was no basis in that report for moving forward with the CERT investigation. Is that what I understood you to say? Yes. Can you elaborate on that without descending into the details? We don't want that on the record. As I recall, the information is that the report was secondhand information. Okay, if it's secondhand and it's hearsay, how about we do the thing that Global didn't like to do? Go to the source. What kind of investigation are you doing over there? You're relying on one when you've got dozens of witnesses from multiple police departments, including the president, looks to be the president of the Nova Scotia Chiefs of Police. Yeah. Okay. It's just a little secondhand. But what I do, what has stuck in my mind was being put in the middle of a situation I didn't feel like that we should be there. But that again seems to differ from Daly's notes here, right? What was it? He will invoke his mandate. He's concerned about the costs, that it's going to be a large-scale investigation, that he may need the assistance of the oversight body from BC or the oversight body from Alberta, both of which are a lot bigger, have a lot of investigators. Perhaps maybe the independence of said organizations too, being that it's outside of the province. I don't know. But here Felix is like, oh, it's just one witness, nothing much to see here. And it's hearsay, even though I've got transcripts, 2-hour-long interviews, multiple witnesses, former head of a detachment, 20-year-long officer, potentially, if it is her, Shari Pictou, from at that time, which interesting, then you're moving over to the RCMP. Okay. Subsequent to this, maybe, I don't know, keep it in-house. Who knows? I don't know. Just putting it out there. And you felt a report provided by H Division, specifically Chief Superintendent Leather. Again, are we talking about small fries? No. Has this gone to the commissioner? You're goddamn right. It went straight to the top right away. Constable Diamopoulos is at least part motivated by turf war between the two organizations. Well, there certainly was no love lost between the author of the report, who I guess is Superintendent Costa Diamopoulos. That's who wrote. Well, that's at least who put the Sitrep report in. I don't know if he wrote the report. And the blank person in the blank, Truro Police, I don't know, TPS, who knows? And that, instead of investigating it themselves, which looks like that might be a conflict of interest, because of this, you said turf war, they wanted us to do it. Well, that you're the appropriate person. No. And I wasn't prepared to put us in that position. Did you get an understanding from either Chief Superintendent Leather, Superintendent Diamopoulos? Again, Who's saying this stuff? That the reason they didn't want to investigate that because it was a turf war. No, that was an assumption I made because I knew that blank had made comments about the RCMP and that person who wrote the report blank. It all just doesn't smell right to me, and I just didn't want to get into it. Source monies, sex, multiple police departments, high-level senior cover-up. You just didn't want to get into the middle of it. Because it didn't seem to echo that in Daly's notes. Assistant Commissioner Daly, who is now the head of Nova Scotia RCMP. Okay. Good assumption. He, of course, Felix, who called Leather a few days prior to this interview. Hey, can you tell me what I told you? Just fishing, are you? But it seems like Leather's got kind of a paper trail. Superintendent Diamopoulos told us in his interview and that Chief Superintendent Leather considered it inappropriate for the RCMP to be involved in any investigation. And that is why they turned it over to CERT. Do you have any comment on that? Seems like it's kind of trying to go above board. Seems like it. Well, they made the referral, but we didn't accept it. And you didn't accept it because it was A, based on secondhand information, correct? Yes. And B, you felt that it would be putting CERT in the middle of, I've used the word turf war. There might be a better word between blank and RCMP. Yes. Are there any other reasons you didn't proceed forward with the referral? No. None that I can think of. Superintendent Diamopoulos said in his interview that a request came back from your office to provide assistance with a potential investigation of that referral. Is that correct? Not just Superintendent Diamopoulos. It's in Daly's notes. Who said he spoke to Leather? And maybe not. Again, unknown, really. He does seem to say, Daly does seem to say, no. Didn't know for sure, but he didn't believe that Felix was in on the call. He wasn't sure who told him that. I have no recollection of that. Well, I don't know. It's funny that other people are writing it down. It's funny that Superintendent Diamopoulos is talking about it. It's funny that Assistant Commissioner Daly's talking about it. It's funny that Leather's talking about it. All these people, they just must be colluding, making things up. I have no recollection of that. Do you deny the request was made, or you just don't have a recollection of it? I don't have a recollection. I have no recollection of that. Superintendent Diamopoulos also told us they didn't hear back from your office for quite some time about the referral and had to write a letter asking about the status of it. Do you recall a letter from them in that regard? I do. And do you recall the content of the letter? I believe it was to ask, where we stood on the request. And how did you respond to the letter? Do you recall? I believe I reviewed the report on which the request was made and then contacted Chief Superintendent Letter to advise him that we were not going to be taking on that file. Do you recall whether you did that in writing or by phone? I believe it was by phone. And if it was writing, you would have a copy of it. Was CERT's capacity a resource a factor in the decision not to proceed? may have been a minor factor. Oh, so now it is kind of a factor. Wasn't a little while ago. As I said to you before, it's a four-man personal operation, and obviously we have a large geographic area, which would make sense that you would bring in large oversight bodies like IIO, BC, or ACERT from Alberta. Costs, large-scale investigation, Stratcoms. There will be significant media fallout from this one. And with the reasons that I provided before, the report was secondhand. This was, two parties who didn't get along with each other. One of them didn't want to appear to be pushing the other and wanted us to do it. I wasn't prepared to do that. And as we discussed earlier, the allegations were, at least in part, many of them a very serious nature, correct? Yes. Do you know whether those allegations have been investigated by anyone, i.e. CERT? I have no idea. No. But you're the former director of CERT. You were at the time the director. Everything is under your purview. According to the Police Act, you are the man, but you have no idea if it was investigated. Did you have any discussions with Chief Superintendent Leather about someone else potentially investigating these allegations? Not that I recall. IIO, ACERT. But what did you say up here? May have played a factor. So now we're going back again. Was the subject of police service? Was the subject of the allegations? Were they ever notified by CERT about the allegations? No. Well, Heidi Petraic, when she actually did decide to fucking get on the bus, somebody actually responded. Apparently talked to Chief McNeil. Chief McNeil originally on the 27th of October said he had no opinion on the matter because he had no knowledge of it. But he would look into it and in a few days would have something to say. The following day, I believe it's the following day, he said he was glad. He was glad that CERT had investigated the matter in 2020 and he had been, that the Truro Police Service had been clear. But I thought there was no investigation. How can you do an investigation? And the person that you're investigating or the service to which you're investigating has no knowledge. So which is it? You did the investigation? You didn't do the investigation? I could play the excerpt from the media release, which was a press release statement. Okay. So this is now post the refusal, right? Out it goes again. Sitrep to the commissioner. CERT referral to update the commissioner. Referral mode back to Nova Scotia Serious Incident Response Team related to alleged wrongdoing of blank. Update the Sitrep report submitted on July 10th. 2 individuals came forward, H Division, allegations of behavior committed by blank. Allegations were also made that serving police officers at blank were complicit in covering up this criminal activity. H Division referred the matter to CERT to investigate these allegations. October 26th, CERT Director advised H Division Criminal Operations Officer that would not be investigating this matter. Okay, so that's, sorry, where are we at here? Here. Just a little one-liner. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to forget about it. My apologies. Just to confirm in writing, a little email here. Not on any official letterhead or anything. No. We're just not going to be looking at that. 3 days later, the night before this was getting drafted up, there is another version of this. But this is the official one. Going to, what? Where again? Commissioner. So clearly, it doesn't seem to be a minor issue, at least according to the Nova Scotia RCMP. With no criminal investigation being undertaken by CERT H Division senior management in addressing the option of reporting the potential Police Act violations and serious criminal matters to the Nova Scotia Office of Police Complaints Commissioner, OPCC, Police Review Board. OPCC oversees the investigation of complaints by the public alleging misconduct by municipal officers. Alternatively, a complaint has been made to blank. Okay, so Felix, you don't want to deal with it. Obviously, it's going elsewhere. OPCC does not deal with criminal matters, I don't believe, but blank Police Board of Commissioners. Not something small. Further discussions will be had with contract and Indigenous policing down in Ottawa. How this information came to the RCMP will be linked to pending mass shooting. May be linked to the public inquiry, mass shooting public inquiry in relation to the information sharing blank in the inquiry's orders in council. Okay, so then they quote why they think it's relevant. H Division senior management's discussing whether this information should be held securely. An H Division issues management team. At this point in time, that would have been John Robin, overseeing Diamopolis, and Derek Santuso, current commanding officer of PEI. Got a bump. Diamopolis, retired. And from what I hear on the inside, Diamopolis, good player. Very good player. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know. For examination by the commissioners, if required. Further discussions to be held with contract Indigenous policing. Jamie Lutz. Okay, Lutz is involved with this one. Jamie Lutz, you can go through other documents. This is COM number 65200, just for those that are keeping track. Date submitted 29th, and the date that it was approved by whom? By whom? Balls. Now we're up to Commissioner Bergerman. So it's gone from Chris now up to Commissioner Bergerman, and going down to Lucky again after Felix decided they're not near. Okay, that's October 30th. Fast forward. This is COM number 65477. Leather's notes, an overview. What do they call it? A fucking scan of CERT stuff out of Leather's notes, to which there's a lot more, but anyway, we'll just touch on these ones for now. November 5th, at my request, irrelevant, teleconference with Daly. Rupa, who has absolutely nothing, by the way, I believe, on the mass casualty site, and is involved in this one. No, has knowledge, not involved on a bad level. out of headquarters. And Janice Gray, John Robin, Janice Gray, right? CERT referral to deal with complaints from blank and blank. Sitrep, director's statements. Okay, so there's some other things in here. Not really going to touch on that stuff. U.S. not assisting, blah, blah, blah. DOJ, okay? DOJ. Remember who quit? Who quit again? Who was the... Oh, yeah. Who was that again? Was that Fuzzy that went that way? Oh, right. Issues management team, DOJ position. Nova Scotia DOJ. Don't know where Wanda Fletcher disappeared to, too. I think she went poof. Litigation privilege. Okay. Not irrelevant this time. Oh, some is. Because it has nothing to do with anything. CO to director. I don't understand this reference quite. ARM. Meeting discussion, independent review. I'm not sure if that has any bearing on the CERT referral. Fast forward to November 24th. I believe Ald also has knowledge of some of this stuff. Meeting with Jamie Lutz and Sean Ald. Okay, so I'm going to say that's to do with the CERT referral, I suspect. Litigation privilege. Okay, nothing to see here. Meeting with commanding officer, weekly briefing, weekly on updates, fifth estate. Okay, Debbie, appointment for CERT, commanding officer, and I next Friday. That would be Debbie Trask. Irrelevant. November 25th. I think we went out of order here on these notes, did we? No, next day. November 25th, the next day. Email to Director Cassillon, relapse of firearms, release of firearms by the Prime Minister's office to ATIP. Okay, this is another topic. But again, you see how these are all commingling here. National Post email completed by the DFO, Special Rep Mr. Alistair Surratt and Mr. I'm forgetting his name. He's popped up a few times. Teleconference, Dioc, South Ald, Rodier, and the real Don Moser. Okay, December 16th. Meeting with CERT Director Cassillon. Re-blank complaint. Additional interviews conducted by CERT. Kind of sounds like an investigation is going on. Somewhat. No evidence of criminality surfaced. No file opened. No CERT investigation. So it's still going on at CERT. Could you look at this one here? No, not looking at it. Don't worry about it. Where's that here? Sorry. No. October 26th. No, don't need to worry about it. Fast forward here. No, now we're into December. Can you look at it? No, there's nothing here. Discuss conduct issues. Decide that. Matter should be briefed to the minister. For the new year. So now it's off to police commissioners. It's off to the minister. It's off to the head of the RCMP, which it was at originally. It's off to some the police complaints commission. Felix, though, he just doesn't really remember. Fast forward. That was 65477. Scan of Leather's notes. Recert. Cert. Letter. December 17th. Following day. Now on official letterhead. My apologies. He's laying down a huge paper trail. To Chief Superintendent Leather. You referred complaints made about certain blank members of the blank. CERT to review and consider whether this met CERT's mandate. We can review CERT's mandate, letter of the law, but I'm pretty sure it falls underneath it. The complaints were contained in statements of the RCMP, blank and blank. Different types of redactions going on here. I believe MCC versus DOJ federal. Blank made sometime after the tragic events, April 1819 in Port Pick. Well, glad you're appraised. The statements were taken by Inspector. I don't believe he was an inspector then. I think he was superintendent. But anyway, Inspector, Superintendent Diamopoulos, were initially reviewed by me and subsequently on separate occasions by two investigators. Are you investigating or are you not? Did you or did you not? The review examined not only the contents of the statements, not one, not the second-hand one, no, statements, but also RCMP investigative file concerning possible what? Extortion of a large sum of money. Extortion. Diversion of source money payments. Sources. You know what source? By blank. Blank was named in blank's statement as the person who alleged certain improprieties by a blank member of the blank with privileged information. Privileged information. Statutory Canadian Evidence Act, common law, balls, fuck off, was interviewed by one of our investigators and denied knowledge of blank member committing any criminal offense. That's all you had to do. Nothing going on here. Oh, okay. A review of the complaints, plural, made by statements of blank and blank, together with other information examined, like the RCMP investigative file, perhaps the texts, perhaps the dozens of witnesses, police, civilian, RCMP employees, maybe, I don't know, the president of the Nova Scotia Chiefs of Police. Other information examined review points to this referral being one that doesn't meet the CERT mandate, but rather one that, may be considered by the Policing Services section of the Nova Scotia Department of Justice. But remember, Felix doesn't have a lot of memory. I don't really recall. Just a slight recap on some things. There's lots more. How serious do you think this is? Do you think that this may have had an impact, given that this was obviously occurring before extortion? Whoa. These are some heavy words being used. Heavy. Who's getting extorted? Another officer? Serious criminal matters? Senior levels of cover-up? Do you think that this may have possibly had an impact on April 1819? If police services can't work together. Remember, Leather's notes. No, where is it now? Yeah, of course I can't find it. Well, I got it down here anyway. Members on Truro will not back up our members on calls. I wonder, would they have called on Truro April 18 and 19? Was that option available to them? One would think that they may have. Not meaning that they did, meaning that if this issue weren't there, they may have, which may have prevented carnage. You know, like risks to RCMP members and civilians, like it says in the CERT report. Felix equally didn't finish his mandate. He didn't just retire, right? Maybe he did, but he certainly didn't finish his term. Now, I do understand that there was some potentially medical issue there. That was why Pat Kern was in there for a little while. But he came back and he worked. Do remember November 24th. There was a meeting. There was a meeting with Assistant Commissioner Bergerman. This is Felix Cashione's interview again. I'm not sure of the date of that meeting, whether it was before the report or after. And I recall of the meeting is that all that I recall that of the meeting is the Assistant Commissioner, Lee Bergerman, saying that she had been in our home, and I was shocked to hear that. And then she mentioned why, and it was because at one point she had, at one point had put our cottage on Airbnb and had been rented out by someone who was a friend of Assistant Commissioner Bergerman. But I had never seen her. We only rented it out twice, but I can remember. I remember sitting in Bergerman's office. I can't remember anything about the meeting other than she said, I've been to your house. Well, COM 63062. Let's go forward here. November 24th. Page 8. Lee Bergerman's notes. CERT appointment with Felix. Cagillon, re 1, 2, 3 checkboxes. Irrelevant. Oh, really now? How relevant do you think that was? Maybe they were just talking about the Airbnb. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe there's a lot more going on. And it's really fucking serious. Future of MCU? Seconded officers from Truro? The bulletin that got is the way the bulletin was presented, is that quite the way that was initially portrayed? We got the ATIP request, or was it that the RCMP said, hey, hold on, because I have read that. The RCMP said, hold on, we're checking our records. We want to make sure everything's lined up here before you release the ATIP for the CS-INS Bulletin 2010, to which they said they didn't have a record of it. You have Densmore, I believe it was, Densmore originally, and then Chief McNeil. Now, I'm not bashing on these people. I'm just simply saying what's going on, right? And I believe McNeil said, yeah, I'll hold on to that for a little bit. Like, don't worry, it's okay. According to the RCMP, from what and my recall, but then it goes flying out the door. Adds to the narrative. And who picks up the task of investigating it? Detective Constable Bruce Lake, maybe? Bruce Lake from Truro, the same police service, like Shari Pictou, that was seconded to the Bible Hill RCMP. Numbering the times that Lee was at his house. Okay, so I just wanted to put that next piece in and kind of just the timeline, right? Do you think the Mass Casualty Commission is anywhere near done? Remembering the other things that we've been through so far in some of the other interviews, a lot of this information didn't come out until the very last minute for the deadline, not for the very last minute of the mass casualty, because Superintendent Leather was not interviewed until September 23rd, the final day. You follow the timeline of who's being interviewed and when. The man that has the paper trail, the one who is a shell of a human being, the one who keeps bringing up issues, because he brings up some pretty big issues. Quintet is all with him. I'm not even going to get into that stuff right now, but I believe that that may have impacted quite significantly on the relationships that the RCMP had with other policing services on the 18th and 19th. You know, the stability of those relationships. And whether they were liked or not, I don't know. The ability to turn to other places for help because of some issues within the RCMP executive, quite serious issues like Zita Astravas serious. The wellness. If you want to call it a dysfunctional funhouse, hellhole, with nobody at the realm or steering the helm here of that ship. And I'm very reticent to even talk about this stuff because it seems like somebody in the story may have some personal problems. And I feel for them. I do. But that should not interfere with your ability to fulfill your role. If you can't do it, you should have got out. But the problem is that fucks where the RCMP is going. I'm leaving crumbs again. They'll know what I'm talking about. Ow. Crying. Not everybody that gets a cat. I do wish the best for you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But to protect the RCMP's fucked up vision they're going, which is wrecking them internally, to save that, really, which may have endangered people. And if that comes to light, and I'm correct about it, well, that's going to be a big problem. Think about it. I'm going to do I'm going to read a portion of another interview, and I've got one more to come. So why don't you give me a few minutes and I'll get that together for the next interview. And its relevance to the Sitrep report. Do have a fantastic day. those of you who can continue to join me, I appreciate it. God bless you. It's not about railroading the RCMP or individuals. It's about the truth. And it's about having good policing. Making our community safe. God bless the 24.